Have you ever felt like a secret was buried deep until one small sideways glance from someone in the family made everything start to surface? Tonight's Emmerdale opens exactly on that note. Arthur Thomas tries to act normal after Laurel's fall, but the harder he pretends he's fine, the more his reactions slip out of rhythm. Whenever someone mentions Laurel falling, Arthur gives vague answers, avoids eye contact, and that evasiveness is something Gabby can't ignore. Things reach a tipping point when Manpreet says Laurel blacked out because she tripped over one of Dottie's toys at home. On the surface, it sounds plausible, but to Gabby, it doesn't line up with what she's been noticing. And once suspicion sparks, Gabby starts connecting the pieces. Arthur's attitude, how unconvincing the story feels, and most of all the sense that Laurel is trying to cover something up. In the end, Gabby bluntly voices a theory that makes the whole family atmosphere go tight as a wire. She believes Arthur pushed Laurel, and Laurel is protecting her brother. Psychologically, Gabby comes across as the type who can't tolerate a gap in logic. She doesn't just want the truth. She wants to test everyone's reaction by putting the truth on the table. And what's scary is that if Gabby is right, this stops being an accident and becomes a moral fracture inside their own home. The question then is whether Arthur can talk his way past everyone's scrutiny, or whether the more he speaks, the more he reveals. Meanwhile, on another tense front, Cain Dingle is facing the fallout from the recent car thefts. Cain is already boiling under pressure, so when Jacob turns up at the garage with an aggressive attitude, everything explodes instantly. Jacob is furious that Cain dragged Sarah Sugden into something illegal, and Charity loses it as she watches the argument escalate. What's hardest for everyone to swallow isn't only that it was wrong. It's that Cain took that risk with Sarah at the most sensitive possible moment, when she's just weeks away from becoming a mother. From a psychological angle, Cain seems stuck in a familiar defensive pattern. The more cornered he feels, the more he tries to prove he's still in control of his life, even though inside he's unraveling. And because he doesn't want anyone to see him as weak, he chooses reckless action over admitting the truth, until the people closest to him become the ones who pay the price. Liam doesn't stay on the sidelines either. As a doctor, he doesn't just see Cain as a hot-headed man, he recognizes a clear sign. Cain isn't okay. Liam gently points out that pulling Sarah into crime is a symptom of Cain reaching his limit, and that the only way out of this spiral is for Cain to tell the truth about his cancer diagnosis so he can actually get support. This is the most painfully realistic part of the episode for me. A lot of people hide illness because they fear pity, but the more they hide, the more isolated they become, more likely to snap, and more likely to hurt the people they love. After that, Sarah also shares how she feels about the mess they're in, like a direct hit to Cain's conscience. If Cain keeps holding it together like this, it won't just be Cain who suffers. Sarah's future gets dragged into danger too. Jacob, meanwhile, gets shoved into a different kind of pressure. He's frustrated because Dr. Todd wants to move their meeting to discuss a research proposal, part of a prestigious mentoring program. The twist is that the new time clashes with Jacob's regular classes. When responsibilities pile up like that, it's easy to tip into overload. And I think that's also why Jacob blows up at Cain so fast. Sometimes anger isn't born from one incident, but from the feeling that you can't carry everything anymore. Jacob is being pulled between ambition and reality, between opportunity and obligation, and the more trapped he feels, the easier it is to lose control. Over with Carrie and Jai, the mood shifts into something riskier, reckless and insecure. They keep their workplace affair going, even pushing it into dangerously exposed moments in the office. Carrie thinks she's being clever by teasing Jai in front of colleagues to throw people off, like turning it into a joke will stop anyone from suspecting anything. But that cover can backfire, because for Jai, being turned into the joke in front of others doesn't feel like camouflage. It feels like being diminished. That's the psychological pressure point. Carrie sees it as a safety tactic, but Jai may see it as disrespect. And the question is whether he'll interpret it as smart protection or as the first reason to start doubting the relationship itself. Personally, I think this episode works so well because every conflict revolves around one thing: people hiding what they fear most. Arthur hides because he's scared of being blamed and abandoned by his family. Cain hides because he's terrified of his illness, exposing his vulnerability. Carrie hides because she fears being found out and losing her image. Jacob hides his overload because he's afraid of being seen as not good enough. And when everyone is hiding, the only thing left for others to hold on to is the tiny signals: a mistimed answer, a reckless decision, a joke at the wrong moment. Tonight's episode feels like multiple cracks appearing at once in the same wall. It hasn't collapsed yet, but one more push in the right place could shatter everything. Who do you think will break first? Arthur, if Gabby keeps pressing? Or Cain, when Sarah and everyone around him force him to face the truth?